What is going on, guys? You already know who it is. Patriots Global here, back with another video. In this one, I have a very special video for you guys, as I am getting back to my collaboration videos that I started back in the 2020 season for the New England Patriots matchups. Now, obviously, didn't get to one week one. Your boy was very busy dealing with a lot of technical issues with the channel that you guys already knew about. But week two, New England is traveling to MetLife Stadium to play the New York Jets. That is one of our first two matchups of this season. Obviously, both teams coming off of a loss. And both of these teams very young, rookie quarterbacks. You know, the Jets have a new coach. These are two very, very new teams from what we have seen even just a year ago in the 2020 season. So what better way to kind of talk about this matchup and let you guys know what to expect and to bring on my boy Jets Central onto the channel. Jets Central, Ian, what is going on, my guy?
Colby, what's good, man? How are you?
I'm good, man. We actually just did a video on your channel too. So guys, I am going to pin that in the comment section below once that video is up on his channel too. Make sure you check it out. I went and talked about the Patriots on his channel. It's going to be a little bit different from what we're talking about here versus what we talked about over there. So highly recommend you guys go ahead and check out that video. Also, along with just go ahead and subscribe to Ian. I mean, he covers everything Jets, but you know, even when it comes to like free agency and draft, you cover like the big news also.
Yeah, thanks, dude. I appreciate it. I try to, branch out, talk about other teams here and there too. It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, definitely. I highly recommend. I always check out your videos. I know you see me comment on like the Patriots one. I always like to hear your thoughts on the stuff. So I definitely recommend you guys. I know a lot of you guys already know Jet Central, whether that's from just kind of coming across of him or whether that's from fan to fan when we were both, kind of going on with that. So, make sure you guys go ahead and check out Ian over at Jet Central, links below. But you guys already know that there is only one way that we are able to start off each and every single video, one way to get you guys hyped. So without further ado, let's just roll the intro. Alrighty, my guy, let's just hop right into this. So first question, and I'm sure you probably saw this coming. First off, I feel bad for you. I feel bad for Jets fans in general. I got to give my condolences. The amount of injuries you guys have had over the last few weeks has been horrendous. Like,
yeah, dude, it's been crazy. By the way, I love that intro. It gets me hyped up every time.
So yeah, I actually edited that myself. And then because I used to go to like a performing arts school, I have a lot of friends who are into music. So that's actually a sound that's completely from scratch. Like you will not find that sound anywhere else.
Dude, that's so sick, man.
I know, pretty dope. But I mean, obviously, like I like my intro, but it is nothing compared to what you have over on your channel. Guys, if you guys have not seen the intro on Ian's channel, check them out. Those things are so perfectly put together and so dope. I don't know how you do it, but dear God, those things are the coolest edits I've ever seen.
No, I had a buddy back in college who worked with graphic design and whatnot. So he put together two of them, and then I don't know. I'm trying to figure out a way to do the third because he's not in it anymore. He doesn't have any of the equipment, but maybe he'll get something figured out. But dude, as far as the injuries are concerned, man, it's like a laundry list. I mean, Mekhi Becton, Vinny Curry, Carl Lawson, Marcus Joyner, the list goes on and on and on. It's dude, it's nuts. Like I feel, I mean, we're only through 1 week of the NFL season and we're decimated. We're decimated by injuries.
Yeah, I mean, that's enough to kill any team. I think us Patriots fans saw that kind of, in training camp that we were dealing with all these injuries and we were just like, dear God, who's even going to play in the preseason? And for you to lose such big names, even in the regular season to start, I mean, that's just horrendous. But biggest loss, well, I would say biggest loss for you guys so far, at least. Mekhi Becton, your starting tackle. From what I heard, out probably 6 to 8 weeks is what I'm hearing. Is that true?
So it's. I mean, it's crazy you bring it up, but it was originally listed as 4 to 6. But Robert Saleh said today in his press conference that he could be possibly missing the year if surgery is an option. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but Adam Schefter reported 4 to 6 weeks with a dislocated kneecap. So I'm hoping it stays that way. Because, I mean, if we lose Becton for the entire year, I mean, he's going into his second season and he's coming off a really, really solid year, a year one. So it'll be a huge blow. Luckily for the Jets, though, we do have George Fant as a backup left tackle. So he had a pretty productive season last year at right tackle for the Jets, but we brought in Morgan Moses, so he's going to be playing right, and then Fant will kick over to left.
Yeah, so obviously you guys, if anybody watched that Jets game, you would know poor rookie quarterback Zach Wilson. And I will say, I'm a big Zach Wilson fan. Before I got into all of my in-depth breakdowns for all these quarterbacks and whatnot, Zach Wilson was actually my favorite quarterback. Now that obviously Mac Jones is on the team, I think it's a perfect fit. It doesn't get much more perfect than that. But I'm a huge Zach Wilson fan, and I genuinely think that he's going to be good for you guys down the road. But poor Zach Wilson had zero protection. I mean, 6 sacks. You guys gave up 5 total and then 2 half sacks, which essentially leads up to 6 sacks. Mekhi Becton leaving, again, obviously a big part of that. So how do you think that this Jets offensive protection is kind of going to pan out in week 2 with Mekhi Becton obviously out, but obviously you guys giving up 6 sacks just in week 1? Kind of how do you see that protection changing heading into week 2?
Yeah, so to be honest with you, it was a lot of just our guys getting beat last week against the Panthers. And yeah, you have to tip your cap to Carolina. They went out, they executed, they flew around the field. But I mean, if you go back and you watch, like there were just moments where the defensive tackle, Derek Brown, Brian Burns, they would just blow right by our guys. It wasn't so much this exotic blitz, this crazy schematic thing that was happening, and the Jets were just confused. It was just, no, our guy is better than yours, or I guess vice versa. But really the problem lies with the interior. Connor McGovern, Greg Van Roten, and Elijah Vera Tucker's the rookie. So I don't want to say he gets a pass, but and he looks like there were some good plays that AVT had, this last in week 1 against the Panthers. Like there was some good tape out there, but there was also some times that he got beat. There were moments where, the second Zach Wilson would snap the ball, just the wall would be crumbling and, pressure would be in Wilson's face and he would have to escape. And, it's not the end of the world. It's football. It happens. But when it's happening every single drive and you can't establish the run, every first down, it's a predictable play call. It's a handoff going for 1. It's a loss of 2 and you're in 2nd and 12 or 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10. And you can't protect the quarterback. It's just a recipe for disaster. And that's why the Jets looked like the worst team in football in the first half. But then they made those necessary halftime adjustments, and they look like a completely new team once the second half arrived. So I don't really, and it sounds bad, but I don't really have a lot of faith in the interior offensive line moving forward, especially as far as this game is concerned. So I honestly would really look into establishing the quick passing game. That should be the name of the game. We didn't do it at all against the Panthers in that first half. The second we started to do that, we saw some success just dumping it off to the running back in the flat, checking it down, hitting guys on crossing patterns. I feel like that's really the name of the game for the Jets if they want to counteract that poor offensive line protection.
Yeah, and I mean, look, that's going to be the way to keep drives going against the Patriots, is to take advantage of that secondary, like we talked about on your channel just a little bit ago. Is the Patriots really struggled with those quick passes, and if you want to get past the Patriots pass rush, get the ball out between 1 to 1.5 seconds. That's the best way, because the secondary, Stephon Gilmore's not here. It's a little depleted. You have some question marks. J.C. Jackson, he's playing good, but he's not playing as a lockdown number 1 corner. He's no Stephon Gilmore. We'll have to see if he can kind of, develop as time goes on. But so far from what we're seeing, he's still an up and down guy, makes great plays on some drives, and then he's giving up other plays the next. And you're like, dear God, what are you doing? You're not a number 1 corner. So the best way to do that, get the ball out quick, avoid the Patriots pass rush, take advantage of kind of the depletions that they have within their secondary. And like you said, like the Jets came out that second half and they made adjustments. Obviously, at that point, a little bit too late, but nonetheless, I think they made some nice adjustments that they can kind of take going forward. But with that being said, kind of to talk about the Patriots defense a little bit more here. What did you see the Panthers defense do that really limited your offense? Because your offense really had nothing going. I mean, was it the play calling that you guys had offensively, or did the Panthers defense just really shut you guys down? I mean, you guys only had about 45 rushing yards on 17 total attempts and 250 passing yards on 20 receptions.
Yeah, I mean, it's no secret that it was god awful. I mean, really, the and it's crazy because the name of the game for the Jets offense, our identity essentially is to run the ball, get in a third and short, eat the clock, control time of possession, and then once you're in those third and threes, third and twos, third and ones, then everything opens up. The play action opens up, the quick passing opens up. That's the area that we want to be. And then with Zach Wilson's arm strength, it now adds that extra layer to the offense of pushing the ball down the field. But the coaching staff is coming from San Francisco. If you look at West Coast offenses, whether it's the Rams, the Raiders, the 49ers, whoever it may be, all of these systems are all they have the same idea. It's third and short. Let's, send a lot of guys in pre-snap motion. But when you can't run the ball and when you're in second and 11, third and 12, third and 14, now everything is just flipped on its head and you can't do what the main goal of the offense is asking for, which is those getting into those third and manageables, and then you open up the play action. You're not going to be doing play action on third and 15. It's just not in the cards. So that was the problem, is we would lose on first down, not being able to run the ball at all, forcing Zach Wilson to throw, and then, we can't protect Zach Wilson either. It's like, yeah, we're not going to have success at all. And then again, we have to credit Carolina's defense. Every one of those players were flying around. Derek Brown, JC Horn, Dante Jack. I mean, they have so much talent. Jeremy Chin was making plays. Carolina executed. And yeah, the Jets are a really young football team, brand new coaching staff, brand new rookie quarterback making their first start or starts on the road in Carolina. And I do feel like Carolina's they are underrated to a certain degree. I mean, they won 5 games last year, but I felt like, no McCaffrey and, all of these different things, challenging teams to the end. I don't really want to look into this one game so much as, the Jets just got humiliated by a 5-win team last year, because I do believe in the Panthers. But at the end of the day, man, it's just not winning on first down. Not winning on first down, second and 11, and then you hand it off again, and it's a gain of 3. It's like, great, but now we're in third and 8, third and 9, and we now have to, hope for a big chunk play, but we can't protect Wilson because 2 seconds into the play, he's having to roll out or he's getting sacked. So it was just brutal.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. And like I said, week 1, teams are still figuring their things out. I mean, you hear them say it all the time with New England. I mean, September is honestly just an extended preseason for this team. They're not playing their best football when it comes to September. And again, week 1 for I think all of these teams really is just an extended preseason. And I mean, like you said, are the Panthers the best team to go against in the NFC? No, but with the new rules, I mean, they are a sneaky team that could be, a team that takes that very last seed and maybe could squeeze into the playoffs if they really continue to get things going. So, I mean, I agree. They are a sneaky team that can definitely play well, especially with what they have. So, I mean, they're not a team like, it's not like you got beat by the Detroit Lions or anything like that. So, no, I definitely agree with what you're saying. But like I did mention earlier in this video, you guys did deal with a lot of injuries. We talked about Mekhi Becton. We talked about this offense a lot, but you dealt with a lot defensively too. I mean, whether it's your secondary, whether it's your defensive line, you guys dealt with a lot. What would you say at this point, heading into this week 2 matchup? What is the weakest point of this defense? Would you say it is your secondary, or would you say it's your defensive line?
Great question. I would say really the two. Well, to answer your question, the secondary probably on paper is the most vulnerable because of the experience level. And we also lost LaMarcus Joyner, our starting safety in last week's game. Just another name to add to the injury list. But we still have Marcus May back there. That's great. And then Bryce Hall's our starting outside corner, and he was kind of I don't know if you remember him back at Virginia, but he was kind of listed to go in the 2nd, 3rd round, but he had that major injury, and the Jets were able to pick him up in the 5th. And he's been a pretty solid corner for us. He's not been elite top 5. He's not on the level of Gilmore or anything like that, but he's definitely not a bottom feed. He's not bottom of the barrel either. So he's long, he's lanky, his upside. But the other starting cornerback spot is Brandon Eccles. And he's a later round pick rookie. He was back at Kentucky. And I really like the upside of Eccles, but I would say right now on paper, comparing him to, every other player on the defense, or every other position rather, the secondary is probably the most vulnerable. But another area that I'm concerned about, frankly, is the lack of depth. I mean, with the amount of injuries, it's just insane. Players are having to step up. So when guys need to cycle in and cycle out, it's I feel like that's another area where the New England Patriots can take advantage of, just wearing the first teamers, I guess the first teamers out early, and then second, third drive, or multiple drives later, all of a sudden the fatigue level for the Jets defense is so high, especially if the Patriots control the clock like they did against the Dolphins. I mean, over 36 minutes, that's crazy. That is
Yeah.
absolutely crazy. So if the Patriots can do that and just wear down the Jets defense, it could be a long day.
Yeah, I mean, two guys that I've been really looking at this matchup and thinking they could have a good game. And I've been telling this, for anyone who has Nelson Aguilar or Jonnu Smith in their fantasy team, I think that both of those guys could have a really good matchup this week and can really produce this week. With these injuries and with kind of that depleted secondary. With again, you guys losing your safety. I think that could be a really good matchup for, again, Aguilar and Jonnu Smith this upcoming week. So if you have them in your fantasy team, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think those guys could pop off this week, especially Aguilar, who had a great week one?
So I do think so. I just feel like really the Jets have to be able to crank up the pass rush on Mac Jones.
Yeah.
I feel like because Sam Darnold had all day to throw in that week one matchup, and that was really what plagued them in the first half, that and then not being able to stop McCaffrey. But that's obviously a pretty big thing to ask of a young defense, like, oh, go stop one of the league's best players. It's tough, but pass rush, cranking up the heat on a quarterback is I mean, the defensive coordinator, Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich, they have control over that. Okay. So Mac Jones, I felt like, was awesome against the Miami Dolphins. And I feel like they cannot come into MetLife Stadium and feeling really good about themselves, feeling really comfortable. I really feel like there needs to be an emphasis on bringing Mac Jones down, attacking Mac Jones, honestly, getting in his head. And I feel like the fans, in the stands, it's going to be the home opener. I feel like that's going to also play a pretty big part in it. So if we can get after Mac Jones early, hopefully he won't find guys like Aguilar down the field. But I'm really thinking that Henry and Smith, they could do a lot of damage in the middle of the field, up the seams, on those 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6s, on little curl routes and stuff like that. I feel like that's an area that we need to look at.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I completely agree with you. What we saw from Mac Jones week one, especially the Patriots offensive line, I'm not gonna lie to you, they did not perform well, especially Trent Brown leaves. The Patriots were on their 3rd right tackle even to start week one. They were not performing well. I forget how many times it was that he got hit. It was like between 5 or 9 quarterback hits that Mac Jones had. So he was kind of running for his life a good amount of times too. So, I mean, to apply that pressure is definitely going to be the way to try and stop him. I will say, though, Mac Jones, not athletic, definitely not the most athletic, but I think, you saw that week one matchup too. There were a lot of times that he can maneuver in that pocket and he can extend plays just by his pocket mobility. And so definitely I would say for the Jets, in order to get to Mac Jones and prevent those bigger plays, you got to make sure that you have short tackling. I would say that's one of the bigger ones. But before we get into our last question here for you guys, I do want to give a huge shout out to the sponsors of this video, betonline.ag. You guys know that BetOnline has sponsored my channel for a while. They are a big reason that this channel is able to keep going time after time. So big shout out to them. They are back. They're better than ever. All eyes are on the gridiron as teams are back for yet again another football season. And as always, BetOnline is your #1 spot for all pro and college football action this season, with a new updated site and interface, even more odds and props and contests. BetOnline continues to be the #1 source for everything football. All you guys got to do is head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 100% welcome bonus. That is double your initial deposit just for signing up. Do not forget to use that promo code NFL100, all the way from football to basketball to boxing, all the way from your favorite casino games. Do not wait to take advantage of this great offer, only available for the 2021 season. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts, and BetOnline, the fastest way to bet on all of your sports action. But Ian, last question I have for you here is, it's great to talk about what the Patriots can do to beat the Jets, but it's also important for us Patriots fans to know, what does this defense not need to do, or what does the offense not need to do in order to make sure that this Jets offense or defense, and a team in general is just successful. So the question here is, what do you see the Jets doing this week against the Patriots that could make them more successful than we saw last week? And obviously the Patriots lost a game they should have won, but I'd like to think that the Patriots have a better all-around team than what we've seen from the Panthers. So what do you think it is that the Jets have to do to be more successful than last week?
Right. So I think offensively, establishing a quick passing attack is something that we didn't really do, and we touched on it earlier, but we didn't really do it in the first half at all. And then once we started to do it in the second half, we had success. I felt like Tua, that was actually an area that he looked pretty good against the Pats defense last week, just getting the ball out of his hands, just bam, bam, bam. When that was happening, the Dolphins offense seemed to be moving the chains more effectively. So that should be really the highlighted point, at least for me personally, on offense. And then on defense, really just trying to attack Mac Jones. I mean, I hate to sound like a broken record here, but I really feel like as far as the talent levels are concerned, right, if you're just comparing names on paper, when you're comparing coaching staff to coaching staff, New England probably edges out at a lot of different positions. So in order to have success, we need to essentially cut off the head of the snake, and that's the quarterback position, Mac Jones. Thankfully, he's a rookie. It's going to be his first road matchup, and Robert Saleh does know how to crank up pressure on quarterbacks. He has shown that in the past. That's kind of been his one of his points on his resume. Getting after quarterbacks. We've heard that all the time with the San Francisco 49ers defensive line. So even if it requires blitzing early, because we actually struggled to get after Darnold early in that game, but once those second half adjustments were made, we were getting in the backfield. And I was and I said this in the recap video, I kind of was wishing for, a fifth quarter or an extra half of football or something like that, because I really felt like the Jets started to find themselves. We just ran out of time. It was too little too late. So offensively, quick passing, defensively, get after Mac Jones. And this should be kind of a given. The offensive line needs to play better, and we also need to win on first downs.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with you. I mean, this is going to be a fun matchup nonetheless. I know a lot of people want to wipe the Jets off right away, but I do think with a new head coach, and I feel like former defensive coordinators turn into head coaches seem to usually have pretty good success in the NFL. I do think that Robert Saleh is going to be a good head coach for you. Maybe not completely year one, but I definitely think down the road, Zach Wilson, I think, is a really good piece. Like I said, I was a big fan of Zach Wilson. Obviously, the Patriots weren't going to be able to get him, but nonetheless, I do think that he's going to be good for you guys. And no matter what, I always feel like in division matchups, just add an extra element of hardship, for lack of better words. Intensity, yes. Intensity, because these teams, what's on the line. And I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter how amazing the Patriots roster is, how terrible the Jets roster is, or vice versa. Like, we have seen very, very close games between these teams every single year, and it just comes down to that intensity from in-division. So nothing is ever off the table when it comes to in-division games.
For sure, man. Yeah, I totally agree. And to kind of add on your point about the defensive coordinators, I mean, look at the AFC East. Every single coach, McDermott, Flores, and Belichick, and Saleh, they were all defensive coordinators at one point.
Exactly. This is a defensive-minded division here in the AFC East. But Ian, man, I appreciate you for coming on the channel, talking about some Jets. Definitely have you on in just a couple of weeks again, because that second matchup against the Jets is
right around 100%,
right around the bend. So we'll have to see how things kind of change within a couple of weeks, as I'm sure things won't change drastically, but will definitely improve on both sides of the ball, the Jets and the Patriots. So definitely still going to be some things to talk about. But nonetheless, guys, make sure you guys check out Ian with JetsCentral. Like I said, we did make a video on his channel. Highly recommend you guys check that out. A little bit different than what we talked about here. So make sure you guys get both sides of the ball. But Ian, again, appreciate you for coming on to the channel, and of course, having me on your channel.
Yeah, man. I mean, same to you. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. And looking forward to the next one too. Like you said, we have that next game coming up pretty soon.
Yes, sir. Like always, guys, make sure you hit the subscribe button, like this video, share with some friends. But at the end of the day, you know what it is. Go Pats.